You are listening to Wicked Psychotherapists, a podcast where two psychotherapists show you that taking care of and learning about mental health doesn't have to be wicked hat.
Hey guys, this is Tanya.
Hi, it's Erin, and welcome to Wicked Psychotherapists.
Yeah, so today we have a really great one that we both really enjoyed that we wanted to talk about. This is maybe kind of fitting for around this time because this will probably come out in the new year, and it's kind of like a new way of acting for Adam. So it's it's pretty new too. The film came out in 2022, I think. Called
Hustle.
Oh my gosh, Hustle. Yeah. It was like, what was the name? Basketball or something? Yeah, so Hustle, yeah, it was on Netflix. It was a really good movie. We really liked this. So this was a serious side of Adam. Definitely some humor in there, but
yeah.
He was really fit this part. You could see he had a lot of passion for this, but he showed some acting chops in this. This was a good way to showcase his talent. I think when he is passionate about something, he can be really good in his acting style and still infuse some of his comedy. But this was a movie that I think showcased the love of basketball and the passion behind it. It was definitely a passion project and showed a lot of different things that we see Adam evolving in the timeline of where he's at with his characters. He's not the person being coached. He's the coach in this one. He's the person who's guiding. And so it's another little evolution in his acting and maybe personal life as well to be at this spot. But I thought this was a really great tribute to basketball. I'm not hugely into basketball, are you? And
yeah,
there's a lot of good themes in this movie. I think there's a lot of like the underdog, right? How the underdog is able to come up with like the player that he recruits, Bo Cruz, is from this, kind of poor part of Spain. I think it's Mallorca, and is not known at all, doesn't have any professional experience. But also you see with Adam's story, he's kind of the underdog too, because he's having to not even live out his dreams. He's having to be away from his family, and he really has a different passion too. So they're kind of two different parallel themes at the same time for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they both were underdogs at different times too throughout the movie too, which I thought was kind of interesting and nice too, because you see Adam's character, Stanley, he is treated badly by some people, but then also he's able to show Bo, okay, well, if people are treating you badly, this is how you respond or don't respond.
Yeah, for sure. He shows him mental fortitude and saying, he's like, oh, you're sensitive, right? You like, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and he's like, me too. And he kind of shows him how to be in this industry. You have to, really kind of strengthen up your mindset, get a thick skin to that. That is really interesting, I think, as like, just, from a mental health perspective, if somebody is very sensitive, how they have to train their mind. There's a lot of mental aspects to that, and being an athlete in general. But in this case, playing basketball. But I thought that was a really cool way to show that, because this is all Bo has ever known. I mean, he had a kid when he was 15. He's had to basically raise her for the most part on his own.
Right.
And
yeah, because he at 15 too, because you mentioned he was unknown. And that's when Bo's mom had said too, like, oh, he had the opportunity to be scouted or when he was 15, but then he became a father and had, like the mother basically gave him his daughter. So Bo just pretty much had his whole life was just his mom and his daughter at that point. He had to make a complete shift of everything.
It's I guess at one point, and this is probably what led to Bo's the conviction is, or the what he got arrested for was the mom's boyfriend had suggested, wanted full custody at some point because they realized they could get money for her. And then he went to go talk to the boyfriend. And I think it kind of ended in an altercation, and he got charges for that, which was the reason why he had to really prove himself, because that was the only thing that the basketball world was seeing him as, like the violent kid from the violent neighborhood, because of that charge. And then Stanley, Adam Sandler's character, talks about how he was actually a really great basketball player, but he messed up his career in that regard because of one night of, drinking and getting into an accident. And it's a mistake that kind of affects the rest of your life. And so he really understands and really wants to see this kid not pay for this, because he sees his talent, he sees his drive, he sees the passion of all these things that he has. And so I thought that was really a nice kind of plot loop, and themes that they were discussing and they were showing, as well as all the basketball, like really the heart that you have to have, the passion that you have to have, the dedication. Bo's away from his daughter for the first time ever, and his mom, and he really seems to really miss them at some point, and really is kind of depressed because he's just that's his life, and so he's really a very family oriented person at his core. He's really that's his stability, his roots. And I think it's, his mom does say when they come to visit, the mom and the daughter, I think Stanley does that for you, what you do for us, like kind of lightens the load. He's able to take care of you. He's able to see you, and make sure you're protected and everything, which is a very paternal role, which is foreshadows what happens at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really is. I think, you watch this basketball player who goes from, being in complete obscurity, and really Stanley's belief in him, he feels it so much because he's been there. He's seen that he can like connect with that. And I just love that he stakes literally his whole career, his livelihood on him. And I think that just really shows his dedication, his connection to not only basketball, but just, being able to see someone and kind of, I think, trying to pass that on the way that the head coach Rex, who had passed away at the beginning, saw him. And so it was a nice, I think, passing on of like passing the torch of this is how you survive in this. This is how you
because that's like, because the owner had seen Stanley and he'd said, like, I know this is what you've always wanted. You've always wanted to be the assistant coach or to become a coach. And you don't want to just be a recruiter or whatever it is that they are doing, because he knows that it's a toll on him. And he was kind of like a father figure to Stanley in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's kind of juxtaposed next to his son, who takes over Vince, who's Ben Foster, who I kept thinking, when I was watching him, I kept thinking that he looks like the I See Dead People kid that was just in Happy Gilmore.
Haley Joe Osment, or whatever his name is.
Yeah. He's because he kind of, he just kind of looks like him with like a smaller face, sort of. I don't know. And I kept thinking, oh my God, is that him? But that doesn't look like him. And then I had to look it up, but yeah, Ben Foster always kind of
like Adam really likes him.
Yeah, I was like, creepy. Which, we know he does have recurring characters. He didn't in this movie. This movie was pretty much, him and a lot of basketball players and Queen Latifah and people like that.
Yeah.
But, it was
there wasn't a lot of the it wasn't a lot of the, oh yeah, I've seen this person before. But it was a lot of like actual basketball players. So I thought that was kind of fun, a little different. And Queen Latifah, she was good.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And it was a really good, like a passion project too, I think, for people that really want to show what goes into basketball. And it was inspiring to see at the end all the players that were there, and like, when they were big in their time, and Dr. J, that was really impressive. I do remember seeing like shots of him, like, just kind of replays and stuff of like the greatest history and everything. So that was really cool to have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that, it's, and he also, like we said, he does take on the role of being more the coach, and he really thrives in that role. He really is, kind of like in Happy Gilmore, the guy's name with the Smitty, or like the
Chubbs,
yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking Smitty. Chubbs.
Smitty.
Yeah, like he takes on kind of a serious role, but he also, once they get into their groove, and they play around a little bit, once he's, Bo finds his training groove, and he's like really getting into it, and he's making the time, and he's really feeling it, like, oh, I've got this. And then they're kind of, they're blending together. They're kind of talking trash to each other. They're kind of, funny. Adam's, or Stanley's making like his father jokes kind of thing, his dad jokes. But yeah, and there's that whole training montage, right, of like, this is the struggle, this is the thing you've got to do. But there's not only that, there's also the mental struggle of like, that's something that Stanley doesn't realize until he gets out there at the combine, and he's like, oh no, like he's really can't take the smack talk kind of thing, and,
right.
Like,
especially against that one guy,
Kermit.
Yeah, Kermit seems to like really push something in him where he's like, oh my gosh, this guy, he knows how to really affect him.
Well, I think that's an interesting dynamic there, because it's almost a typical bullying situation where this guy senses that Bo is very sensitive, and he can see his buttons. And so he's like, ooh, I'm going to do this because that'll give me every advantage. And so he goes for it. He's like looking for him, and he sees him, like, he's like, oh, he's not like falling for this. He's not doing the same things I was doing, but he sees him like wave to his daughter and like give his like heart. And he's like, oh, that's the weak point. He's like always watching for it. And then so he starts to say, those things that like, oh, I could be her stepdad and show her like the role model of a real man, and kind of just, touching on points that are very, very sensitive to Bo, because that's like his life. This is his daughter. So and he, of course, it sets off a bomb, and Stanley sees it. He connects with him. He sees it right away. He's like, hey, give my kid a breather. And they're like, whatever. They just kind of like override him.
Yeah, he's like, no, get him out, call him out. And they're like, nope, he'll be fine.
And then he definitely was not, yeah.
But that's also shows too, like how Stanley was able to see in himself, like Bo. So they've had such a connection that he's like, okay, well, I know this is, as much as we've been working on handling his emotions, this is an off-sub topic, he's messing about his child, and he's, like Kermit's really trying to affect him.
Yeah. He was really going for like the jugular there, and but I mean, and so he basically, kind of blows his shot there, because he loses his cool, and nobody wants to recruit somebody who's just going to start fights and everything, no matter how much talent you have. And plus it shows that you can't, if you can't keep that mental calmness, levelness during a game, you're probably going to have, your game's going to be off too. You're not going to be able to play very well. And that's what kind of started happening too, was he's just so focused on the emotions of it. So in a sense, it's kind of funny. I guess Stanley was kind of a little bit of a therapist for him too.
Yeah.
In that regard. I didn't really think about that, but he kind of is. I mean, he's coaching him, he's guiding him, but I think coaches have to really get into that mental, they have to really know their players really inside and out. And that's a really, I mean, probably people listening to this who are into sports are like, like no crap, but I'm not super into them. So to me, it was like, that's a really, I like that the movie like showed that, right? That.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and also I think it helped, like I think Stanley helped Bo work on not, like a lot of his psychological issues or concerns, but also helped him with, his father abandoning. So then he has this coach and, learning how to play on a team and working with other people, because he's had to be so isolated for so long. He's been just hustling people, because it's always been like, okay, I got to get money. I got to survive. I got to do all this stuff on my own. And working on a team and working with a coach too also is new. And it is like relearning that. And I think Stanley helped guide that. Yeah, it is like a therapist in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. Like kind of learning, hey, like this is, you don't have to survive. I mean, you still have to use some of those skills, but now you gotta thrive in these and really use them. And it was just a lot for him. I mean, and then with his kid as like the ultimate vulnerability, and Kermit the Frog picking up on that. He's Stanley was like, you let somebody named after a frog get to you, like a cartoon frog or a puppet frog.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it really is interesting how Stanley's character, he really, he really, I mean, he took a lot of risks. He basically quit his job because of his belief in this kid and this kid's talent and passion and drive, and seeing like the good things in that. And even though he knew he had this on his record, it was kind of like, okay, you know what, everybody messes up. Just got to keep your nose clean kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, when the old owner's son is like, okay, well, I guess you're going to miss another birthday. Yeah. You're going to, like get back to work. I think that's when he's like, no, I'm not going to sacrifice anymore. I've been working so hard on this and you don't even see it. So I quit. Then he's, then he just decides like, I'm going to put all my energy into Bo and try to figure out what we can do.
Yeah. And there's, in that, there's a real battle of like Vince or Vinny, the son, Vince, I think it is, who is like kind of more leading with a logical business approach, and Stanley, who's more heart driven and really knows the game intuitively. And he's just kind of like, yeah, like this is not for me anymore. Like I've had to kind of follow these rules, because even in the beginning when he doesn't want the German player Haas or whatever, and he's like, no, like he doesn't have it. And Vince is like, no, we have to have him, like blah, blah, blah. Like he's kind of just looking, Vince is just looking at stats. He's not really looking at like the, who this person is, how he plays, like kind of the more intuitive aspects of players. And, and it sounds like his dad at that point, Rex, really trusts him. He sees that like, no, he connects with the important parts of like being able to see who has it and who can do that.
Yeah. And also he was trying to teach him before the dad, before he died, he was trying to tell Stanley, like, why don't you stand up to my son? Because you knew the answer. You knew who you wanted to choose. Why are you not trusting your gut? Why are you not being yourself?
Yeah. And that was the reason why he wanted like him. He recruited him because he was so good with not backing down and trusting his gut.
Yeah. And I think that's at the end when he's like, no, I quit. Well, not at the end, but at that point, he's like, no, I quit. I think he finally was listening to the old owner who was like, why don't you ever stick up for my son? So I think that was coming back, and he's like, okay, this is who I am. This is what I need to do. It might be tough financially, but I'm going to really do something I believe in.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of, I think there's this whole theme of being seen, and Bo being seen as not just this violent criminal, and Stanley not just being, kind of a pawn whose real talent is, he describes, Vince even says you're indispensable as a scout, because he even knows he sees these players, he sees this talent, he knows it. And like he really, really connects with that. But he doesn't, I think Vince kind of has a little bit of a, he's got an ego in this, and he really wants to be the one who discovered the right players, but he's not really looking at the things that end up counting to make like the ultimate team and to get the next, Michael Jordan or, whatever, Dr. J, all those legendary players. But yeah, it really is so much, I think, in there that, with Rex, the owner who died, Adam is, kind of realizing like, oh, this maybe was the person that guided me. Maybe that was the guide for this field, and that's what he passes on to Bo is, this wisdom and this understanding of like, you gotta trust yourself. You gotta believe it's you against you, like you gotta play against yourself, not the other person. Don't think about the other person. And so there's so many lessons, I think, that are in there.
Yeah. And he has this conversation with Bo too about the being passionate, this is why certain players, they get up at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. They practice before they practice. So they're doing, they're getting up every day to work out or to do the practice. And then they're showing up again at the practice with the team. But they, and he's asking him, he's like, so basically, are you really in it? Or is it a passion? Is this something that you really want to do? Or what is your motivation?
Yeah, are you
and I think
obsessed with it? Or are you obsessed because talent is not enough? You have to be obsessed with it.
Yeah, and I think that's why they were doing you need to run up this hill, kind of like Rocky Balboa style. Like, let's just do this. You have to get it under a minute 44 or whatever it was. At first it's like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Then it's like, oh my gosh, this guy's fast. He's able to do it. He's beating this professional bike racer or whatever it is. And then even on the Columbine or whatever, people are like, wow, he's really fast. He's able to do it. And that's because of, he became passionate. He became obsessed with it. And sometimes I know, like, as a therapist, we're like, you don't want to be obsessed. But sometimes it is okay to have a passion as something you're very excited and passionate for, and that's okay in a sense. You don't want it to be everything. You don't want to forget to eat or drink or have time with your family. But for this, I think it was like a short-term thing. So he has this goal, the short-term goal that Bo was working for too.
Yeah, I think this is more kind of, I think it's like you really have to be hooked into this, like almost like if you're going to the Olympics or like really committing to this to the point where it is kind of like, an obsession sort of.
Yeah, everything. It's everything.
Yeah. You like live and breathe it. It's just one of those things that kind of transcends, I think, like the everyday, where, if you're obsessed with an ex or something like that, that's a different story, right? Like that's.
Well, and this becomes your job. It's your job, just like the Olympics, like people, like they have a very set schedule, like when they're working out, when they're eating, when they're sleeping, so I'm sure it's very similar to that with organized sports like this, like professional sports.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, like people, and these are people, they kept saying when Stanley was recruiting, you have to be 22 because that guy in the beginning, the Serbian guy,
he was like 50.
He was like, I'm 22. That's my son. He's 10. And it's like, okay, that's not, and then you see him later on and they're like, oh, I guess he tricked the 76ers, or so. I don't remember what team he was. Maybe it was the 76ers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, not the 76ers, because that's who they were. Yeah. I think it was another team.
The Mavericks maybe or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban's team.
Yeah, I think it was Mavericks because I think Mark Cuban was there, so I think it probably was the Mavericks.
Yeah, I mean there were a bunch of people from different teams for that showcase, but yeah, and I mean it's it's kind of just funny, I think, how to see the workings of how players do get discovered. And really, I mean, if you think about it, if Stanley hadn't, and I know this is just a movie, but I'm wondering if this has happened. Probably has in the history of like scouting and finding players, somebody didn't have that deep belief and connection with this player. How many players have gone unnoticed all around the world, or wouldn't have been discovered, and maybe wouldn't have had, the right scout not really fought for them, because you really have to, I mean, Stanley put so much on the line, personally, financially, time-wise, quitting his job, really, seeing that connection. I don't know if it has to go that far, but, it's at least something to, kind of say that, hey, I have a belief in this player.
Yeah.
And it does make me wonder with other players who do come from different parts of the world and different socioeconomic statuses, and, if they do have criminal records because they've had to survive or they've had to, things like that. I know this sounds silly, but again, not a sports fan really, but like I do, I know some things about basketball just like that are in the news, and to say like, I mean, I didn't realize that completely disqualifies you, from, or like,
yeah, because it is interesting
really on well,
because you see sports people like basketball or whatever, like once they're in it, it seems like if they get a criminal thing, they're not kicked off the team. It seems like there's a lot of protection able to be,
seems like.
Yeah. So it is weird that before, even if it's like, okay, well, maybe this is minor, it's excused, but they don't want anyone, maybe they don't want it. We don't have a relationship with you yet, so we don't want to have any violence or any criminal stuff.
Like, we can't take a risk on you. Whereas, like, if it kind of develops, I mean, you got the player, you know, this is an investment now. So,
right.
You know, yeah, you got to protect the asset, which is, you know, the very businessy side of it. But this movie really showcases the heart, the connection, the belief, the passion side of it,
right,
which is, you know, right up our alleys as therapists.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was really, I thought it was really brilliant how the daughter thought of like the social media campaign with Dr. J. I love how she like got, you know, she was into film and she was, you know, that was a way that they could connect as well too, because he had missed out on time with her and she was able to go in. She had a crush on Bo, you know, and it was, but she did a really great job.
Very obvious. Yeah.
But it really was, I mean, I thought it was a great movie. And of course, Adam was wonderful, as well as all the you know, the basketball players and Queen Latifah. I mean, like, they were all great.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. And Tanya and I talked before. I wasn't sure because I do like sports movies and I have liked them in the past. So I was like, okay, well, how is this going to be? Honestly, after the first like 2 or 3 minutes, I was like, okay, I am really intrigued and really interested. And I watched it late. You know, I was in bed expecting I was going to fall asleep while I was watching it, but it was so good. I was really impressed with how invested I was in Bo, in Stanley, you know, in everything. I was just like, okay, what's going to happen? You know, because I did not even expect that Stanley was going to go back on the 76ers. I thought that, I don't know what I thought, where he thought he would land.
Yeah, it was, you know, for some reason I thought, and I know this wasn't, I'm not saying it was, I know this wasn't based on a true story, but it felt like a true story because it really had some realistic elements to it. It wasn't that like movie that, you know, kind of happy ending. It was very much like, oh, there were some twists and there were some things that were consequenced, and then there were things that ended up working out, but it was kind of like having to take the long way around. And I really appreciated that because I don't like when movies gloss over and do that. Hence why I do not like rom-coms. I just don't appreciate that at all. But it really, to me, it felt very real. And I just thought, you know, Adam was just he was just perfect in it. He was great, you know. He showcased his acting and humor.
Yeah. And there was no, you know, from the last movie, Adam Sandler movie that we talked about, I mean, like, this is complete night and day. Like, there was no cringy, inappropriate middle school humor. Like, it was just really, it was genuine. It felt genuine. And it felt like, okay, this really could have happened, or this could happen, or maybe we're having a peek into what it really is, because even people who were producers were actual basketball players or actually in the field. So I thought that was really neat.
I thought that was great too, because I mean, how often do you get that on, I mean, you might get like one consultant or this or that, but it's more about the drama of it. But this was really about seeing the true raw, you know, kind of connection to basketball, the story behind it, the lived experience of it. I really, really love that. I even love the shots that they had of, you know, kind of the different types of throws and dunks and everything, that they like the different angles and everything. Like, they really caught, I don't know, like the emotion of it for some, I don't know if I'm I don't know, because I'm just not.
Yeah, because a lot of times the type of things you just see or you picture, like that one at the very end of the movie where they're showing like Shaq jumping and then breaking the board. Like that's the type of stuff you usually see in movies. It's just like, oh, well, they're all able to do stuff like that. But this was, I don't know, felt more reachable, more realistic. And it was kind of neat too to see like the struggles people have. Like, you know, everyone seems like they have like different struggles with, okay, well, we want to get to this point. We're all trying to get on a team and trying to be like, okay, am I the toughest? Am I the fastest? Am I this? Or so it's difficult to try to have all these different personalities, you know, because fetching for, you know, something.
Yeah. And the realism of Bo's journey. Like, he's not a perfect hero, right? He's got this, you know, aggravated assault charge. That is very realistic. You know, he became a father at 15. He had a lot of stuff to deal with. He's supporting his daughter and his mom. He's in a
Mhm.
not so great part of Spain, apparently. I mean, they refer to it as a violent place, or I don't know if that's just how they were portraying it,
Yeah.
and he really didn't, have a lot, like, he really needed someone to have this belief in himself and to show him the
Right.
belief for himself, because he kind
Mhm.
of was so used to just taking on the responsibility, the weight of caring for his daughter, his family, and
Yeah.
yeah, so he really
Yeah.
needed that.
Yeah. Like when Stanley's wife T tells him, like, like, I think he's just missing his daughter. This is the first time they've been alone, not together, I mean. And then he brings him, surprises him at the hotel, and then he just jumps in the pool,
Yeah,
and the mom's like,
that was so cute.
that was the first time, like, you just seem so different. You seem like the weight was off of you. This is the first time. She's like, and I think Stanley's been doing that for you.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like given, like, then I think they realize probably, like, just what the gift that they have for each other is too. It's like, Stanley is able to just let Bo just be Bo, just worry about the sport. He doesn't have to worry about every single thing.
yeah. Which is so, I think it's so supportive for someone who is in, a circumstance where they might feel trapped. He was working in a construction job. He's, not living, it doesn't seem like he's living in, the best of areas. It's kind of a little bit, lower end kind of housing where he's living,
Mhm.
and he's kind of living probably paycheck to paycheck, and I think that's what they did say, the mom was, living paycheck to paycheck and depending on
Mhm.
Bo. And so he really was able to, yeah, just really focus on having support and having nurturing. And
Mhm.
it really shows you that,
Yeah.
some of these people, at that point when in the movie where he gets upset with Stanley because he realizes he lied to him about, his chances with the 76ers, and he walks out and then he finds them and then he kind of jacks them up a little bit and then gets back in the car and he's like, your family's perfect, your perfect life. When he doesn't see that, you know, it's almost like Bo is really in this world of like, I've never had anyone, so anybody outside of me that I see that has these things, like they have everything, and in a sense,
Mhm.
I mean, he does have more than him, but at the same point there are struggles there. And it's,
Mhm.
kind of, I think about seeing, what's that quote, is like, everybody you meet has a struggle, so just be kind, kind of thing. I butchered that,
Mhm.
but something like that.
Yeah.
And but also in seeing that when somebody is supported, when, not just financially, but also in belief and support emotionally, how they can thrive, with
Mhm.
just a belief in themselves and the fact that they have some talent, and
Yeah.
that to me was really, really endearing. I liked that a lot. And yeah, I just really, I really loved the movie. And I loved all the players, kind of showing up and then seeing old footage of them at the end and just seeing like their
Yeah,
greatest
I
achievements.
did. I did love that too, because I was like, okay, let me stay for the end, because usually there's something. And I just really liked that. I don't know, it just felt very, I don't want to say heartwarming, but I guess so. It's just very, like, encouraging and just uplifting. And it was just really nice. And, and Tanya and I talked to, like, at the very end. Of course, we're doing all spoilers. Sorry if you haven't seen this yet.
If you already know this by now, we do this.
And at the end, like, like, you see Stanley, Adam Sandler, come out, he's wearing his tie, and the coach is like, oh, wow, nice that you're all dressed up. He's like, yeah, he's like, I wanted to, be like you or whatever, like, I figured I would, get dressed up for you. And then you see that he's back on the 76ers, and then Kermit is on his team. Kermit is one of the 76ers. And then you see they're playing against the Celtics. And then he sees Bo, and then they kind of like run to each other, Stanley and Bo, and, give each other a hug. And then you see on his left arm, because before Stanley had asked him about his tattoos, because he has all tattoos on his right arm and everything. And he said, everything on my right side, or his daughter, someone asked about his tattoos. I think it was the daughter, because she asked about the duck. And Stanley's daughter asked about the tattoos, and he's like, oh, well, this is all, the right side is all my daughter and my wife, because I call her like Ducky or something like that.
His mom.
Whatever. Yeah. And then there's all like little things like that is mom and daughter. So, but then she's like, well, why is there nothing on the left side? And that was because he's like, oh, well, this is all what my dad's done for me, or something. And then it was completely blank. And then when you see them, when Stanley and Bo reunite and they just hug and stuff, and he has something on his left arm now. And he has like a oak tree, because the mom called him, like said something like basically like he was like a big oak tree, big tree, oak tree. And then he had a really nice quote.
Never back down, which is what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never back down, which is what Stanley said to him, which basically never back down. And then also chose number 22 as his number, which was Stanley's number when he played basketball in college, which is very sweet thing, very sweet gesture.
It's a nice tribute.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he noticed, he's like, oh, I see you chose 22. And he's like, yeah. And I thought it was, then he's like, okay, well, I got to go back to coaching. And then he tells Kermit, because he's still a coach, because he tells Kermit, he's like, okay, when you're on 22, blah, 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 blah. So he knows what to tell him too. He's like, okay.
Was that Kermit?
This is what.
Was that Kermit on his team?
Yeah.
I thought it was another player.
Oh, that was the one that had been harassing him.
I thought that was I can't remember his name, Chris, like the real.
Was it? Maybe I'm wrong then. I thought it was Kermit.
I think that was, well, whatever. I mean, like he was basically just, and when he went over to Bo, he was like, don't let the other players, don't let them know that I'm actually rooting for you, which is like, he really is, and he, and then he kind of is like, hey, just so you know, to whoever the player is. I thought it was a different one. I didn't think that was Kermit, but maybe.
Yeah. I thought it was, but maybe it wasn't.
I don't know. But either way, he was basically like, hey, like, watch out for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bo was on the Celtics, so he got recruited by the Celtics, which he actually in real life, this player, he's a real basketball player. He had been on the Celtics for a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was, and the oak tree, I think, is a really symbolic thing, not only because his mom called him an oak tree, but oak trees have very, very deep roots. And I think Bo was able to kind of feel a connection to almost like a familial paternal figure there.
You're right. I'm sorry. It was not Kermit. I just had to do a quick gut.
Yeah, it was right. Chris Sanderson, is it? Or Chris? Yeah, because he was not like cocky at all. Like Kermit was always cocky and
yeah. I don't know who it was, but yeah.
But and I mean, it's just nice to see that they both made it. They both were seen, and they ended up feeling like they got to the right places, they were able to
they got what they wanted. So they got on a team, one got on a professional team, one got to coach a team, the team that he loved, which is so great.
Yeah. And with the direction of the daughter, who apparently was kind of like, Vince messed it up, and so she decided to step in. And he always kind of got along better with her, because she was probably more like, saw that Stanley had that gift and kind of let him be in that. But it was just a great movie overall. Yeah. Lots of cool themes in there.
Yeah.
The underdog, passion, drive, like mental fortitude and sports.
Yeah.
How to kind of train your mind, emotional regulation, familial support, or support of just, needing support to be able to be your best self was kind of that. And finding your familiar support, not always just from your unit too, like being able to find it from outside, like your coach or your mentors or your team, and just still being true to yourself. And it's hard to take you seriously with your Adam Sandler mug. So Tanya, I got Tanya mug. I don't know if it'll show up on the thing, but it's just like all Adam Sandler. Yeah, I got this.
Is it different faces, or is he just making the same goofy
I think it's the same goofy face, just at different angles, and it just makes me laugh, and I love it. So yeah,
that's funny.
Amazing. But yeah, we it's definitely needed. It's a great way to start the day. But yeah, so that is Hustle, which was such a great.
Yeah.
I think we didn't really know what this was about. We just knew it was a basketball movie, but I'm so glad that we decided to do it, because it really turned out to be a great movie, really inspiring. And yeah, I loved it. So if there's nothing else, I do have a challenge question, which may be a little bit hard because I know neither one of us are really basketball fans. But if you could meet any player from any era, basketball, professional basketball, and I don't know, just talk with them, who would it be?
I think Shaq just seems like he is so funny, so fun. He just seems like he's just such a nice person. I think I would choose him.
I could definitely see that. Yeah. And he's definitely got a sense of humor. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What about you?
I think I would choose Dr. J, actually. I've always kind of, I think he's got a lot of wisdom. He understands things. I think seeing things from his perspective would be really interesting. So I think
yeah, he's probably very wise too. Like, he just seems like he knows it. He's seen it all too.
Yeah. I would love to hear about, like, kind of, I don't know, his take on things just all throughout the years. But yeah. So let us know what you thought. This is a movie that's on Netflix right now. I believe it was the movie rights were bought by Netflix, so it's probably going to stay there for a while. So go check it out if you haven't seen it. It's really good. Even if you're not super into basketball, it really was a great story.
Yeah, it was really good. I thought it was really great. I like sports type of movies, especially because usually they have a good happy ending. And this one did. Just like we've talked before about a lot of Adam Sandler movies, usually there's a lot of and this one wasn't 100% Adam Sandler, so there's other people involved. But it still kind of had there's going to be something good might happen at the end. It's not going to leave you hanging with total sadness.
Yeah. And it was pretty realistic too. So it was nice. But yeah, and yeah, so this is just really, really refreshing to see kind of a more serious side of Adam, but a very, very endearing side of him. But yeah, so tell us what you thought. Tell us if, we missed anything, if you maybe didn't like the movie or did, or whatever your thoughts are. We love to hear it. Any suggestions for future episodes? We just planned out the first half of 2026, which is hard to believe.
Our new season.
And yeah, don't forget to follow us on socials. We're on everything, including YouTube, if you want to see the video, and you'll see my awesome Adam mug. Yeah, but we hope you enjoyed this. And don't forget, stay wicked.
And keep your mind well. All right, everybody. Have a great day, great week. Bye.
Bye, guys.